Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon moveset video, guide, analysis, whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to be talking about Tapu Koko. Now Tapu Koko is one of the 4 Tapu Pokemon from Pokemon Sun and Moon. I've actually covered the other 3, so if you guys want to go and check that out, there's a playlist down below where I also covered a bunch of the other Pokemon Sun and Moon Pokemon. I encourage you to go ahead and check that out. Also feel free to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Those links are down below. Now Tapu Koko is the final Tapu that we'll be talking about. It is electric and fairy type, which means that it is immune to dragon, and it resists fighting, flying, bug, electric, and dark, and is only weak to poison and ground. Now, the main difference between this one and the other Tapus is that this one has an amazing base 130 speed and really nice base 115 attack. Outside of that, all of its stats are either average or above average. 95 base special attack, which isn't bad at all. And then 85 defense, 75 special defense. So its ability is Electric Surge, which summons the electric terrain, which makes all electric type attacks have 50% more power on the affected Pokemon. And also the affected Pokemon that are grounded, such as Tapu Koko, cannot be put to sleep. They can't be yawned. So it does give them that sleep immunity as well, as long as electric terrain is up. For 5 turns it's up. So Tapu Koko has a really versatile move pool, I would say anyway. And the first set we're going to be talking about is the Pivot set. Now, Tapu Koko does have both Volt Switch, which is powered up by the electric terrain, obviously, as well as U-Turn. So the first set is a Pivot set. It can run Life Orb, Magnet, Zap Plate, either or. Life Orb obviously boosts all your attacks. They become a lot more powerful, where Zap Plate just boosts your electric type attacks, which you do have 2 of them on this set. But I like Life Orb a lot. It's just max speed, timid nature, max special attack. The rest will just put into Spadef. You can put it into defense if you want. But the idea of this set is to Thunderbolt your opponent, Volt Switch or U-Turn. If you think they're going to switch, if they have a ground type on their team, you can go for U-Turn. Otherwise, you can just spam Volt Switch. Hidden Power Ice is there because Hidden Power Ice's coverage is invaluable on Tapu Koko. Like, it's irreplaceable. It hits Garchomp, it hits Landers, it hits Salamence, it hits Dragonite. It's a 2-hit KO on Latios after Stealth Rock, so it's just really irreplaceable. And obviously having that fairy typing makes it immune to dragon, so it can switch in on dragon type attacks. And that speed is amazing because it makes it faster than Pokemon like Greninja before it Megas, Latios, Thundurus. Just to name a few Pokemon that are obviously slower than it. So the first set is a Pivot set. You use it, pack it with spikes, and just voltage around. Thunderbolt, you have that high base speed. Fire off these Thunderbolts. Even if your opponent resistant, man, it's going to be taking some damage, especially because of the electric terrain boost. And then you either Volt Switch or U-Turn, depending on if your opponent brings in a ground type or not. Now, next up we have Taunt. Tapu Koko does have Taunt in its arsenal. This set runs Zap Plate, as because you are running Taunt, there are some turns that maybe, I'll give you the example that you're taunting a Chansey and maybe they'll go for Seismitoss instead of softballing up. You'll be taking obviously more HP, and if you Volt Switch or U-Turn out of there, you'll be taking even more. So Zap Plate is usually better, boosting your electric type attacks. Now, Taunt is very good on Tapu Koko for the exact same reason I just mentioned. Imagine you Thunderbolt a Chansey, it comes in, it takes maybe Stealth Rock, it takes a Thunderbolt. Alright, that Chansey just took 30% damage right there, right? You go for Taunt, they can't go for Softball. You then Volt Switch or U-Turn, you're leaving them there. They're taunted. So next time they come in, again, they're just weaker and weaker. So Taunt is really nice, preventing Pokemon from healing up like Chansey, preventing Pokemon like Ferrothorn from going for hazards, Quagsire from healing it up if it comes in on Hidden Power Ice. Pokemon from going for Protect, Whirlwind, or Roost. The idea of Taunt is just to stop your opponent. You already wear them down. You have high speed. The last move is either Volt Switch or U-Turn. It really is up to you, depending on how solid your team is. U-Turn is better if you feel like you can't really deal with ground types. Or Volt Switch is better if you feel like your team can deal with ground types regardless. But U-Turn's pretty nice, especially because a lot of people run Dugtrio right now. So U-Turn is definitely solid, being able to Volt Switch around, or U-Turn on those ground types such as Dugtrio. But Hidden Power Ice, again, invaluable because Pokemon like Landorus and Garchomp obviously stop your Thunderbolt. So Hidden Power Ice is just there for that 4 times effective damage, and it comes off hard on base 95 special attack. So again, the idea of this set is hit your opponent hard, taunt them, stop the bulkier teams from going for the recovery moves. Maybe Mew wants to come in and wants to go for Soft Bolt, stop it from going for Soft Bolt by going for Thunderbolt, and then Volt Switch or U-turn on out of there and just get that chip damage off on your opponent. Next up we have the quote-unquote ground types, and this is Tapu Koko with a Life Orb. Now, okay, before I obviously mention it, because I'll be mentioning the other options, you notice that I don't have Dazzling Gleam on any of these sets. I'll talk about why in a bit, but I know there are going to be some comments like, why don't you have Dazzling Gleam on these sets? I'll talk about why as we keep going, but to, I guess, be brief, because I do have it as the first move in other options, just to be brief. Dazzling Gleam, while Fairy coverage is awesome, being able to hit Dragon types, fighting types, for super effective damage, Dark types for super effective damage, most Dark types Hoopa outspeeds, and Thunderbolt does a ton too anyway. Greninja goes down, just to name some Pokemon like that. Dazzling Gleam doesn't really hit Tyranitar for too much, and you'd rather Volt Switch or U-turn it out of there anyway, so you don't take a hit, and Grass Knot hits that as well. Garchomp, Garchomp, Salamence, Dragonite, Hidden Power Ice hits them for 4 times effective damage. The only mon it really hits for more would be maybe like a Pokemon like Latios. It's a guaranteed 2-hit KO on Latios, whereas on Dazzling Gleam anyway. Whereas Hidden Power Ice is obviously a 2-hit KO after Stealth Rocket. It's 42 to 50% to Latios. So after Stealth Rocket is a 2-hit KO. But for the most part, Hidden Power Ice is generally better, and you don't usually need that Fairy coverage. There's not very many fighting types. Like, what are you talking about? Pheromosa, Buzzwole? They don't appreciate Thunderbolt. They're going to go down the Life Orb Thunderbolts in electric terrain. They don't care. So, for the most part, usually your electric move and then a coverage Hidden Power is best. And that's why I don't have Dazzling Gleam on these sets. But the next one is called Ground Types, and the idea is between Hidden Power Ice and Grass Knot, you hit all ground types that can come in. Hippowdon is a Pokemon that could come in on Thunderbolt. It really shrugs off Hidden Power Ice, maybe it does about 30%. But then Grass Knot just OHKOs Hippowdon, gets rid of Mammal Swine as well. And then the last move is really up to you, because you do have Grass Knot and Hidden Power Ice to deal with both types of ground types, the fat bulky grounds like Hippowdon, like Quagsire, and then the other bulky grounds that are also more offensive like Garchomp and Landorus, Therian form. You can definitely run Volt Switch because you deal with those, but again, U-turn is still pretty solid, just getting off that momentum on all the time on your opponent. And Life Orb is the preferred item because boosting Grass Knot to be able to knock out Hippo after a bit of chip damage is definitely worth it. Next up we have the Rain Abuser. Tapu Koko can definitely function on a Rain team, and the main difference with this set is that it just packs Thunder. Thunder hits really hard. Obviously with Rain it's 100% accurate. Being able to drop Thunders on your opponent. Hidden Power Ice deals again with the Pokemon that will come in on Thunder, the ground types like Landorus, Volt Switch, and U-turn. You can also run Taunt in this set. Taunt is actually really nice as well if your opponent wants to bring in a bulky ground like Hippowdon. Grass Knot again is also a very solid option on the Rain because Sand is obviously a weather that is going against Rain. So Grass Knot is also a very valuable option. But I think Thunder and Hidden Power Ice is you can't change that at all. Just max special attack, max speed. Really just the best option on Tapu Koko. You want that max speed, being able to outspeed Greninja prior to becoming Ash Greninja, and just everything slower than base 130. So again, Grass Knot can be ran because it can knock out Pokemon like Hippowdon, making it easier for your Rain setter. Anyway, other options, again, I mentioned Dazzling Gleam, I talked about it, having that coverage versus Dragon, Fairy, Fairy coverage versus Dragon, Fighting, Dark, but typically your electric type attack is better, but you can run Dazzling Gleam. Mirror move can be used with PokeaimMD, that gives you an attack raise, also copies your opponent, which is pretty cool considering it does have 115 base attack. Speaking of attack, you can actually run like Wild Charge. Wild Charge can be used on a physical set, typically special just hits harder without taking recoil. And Roost is also an option on this Pokemon. It does. You can Roost up on your opponent's maybe Celesteela wanting to switch out, or Tapu Fini wanting to switch out. Calm Mind, again, is another option. I don't feel like it's really worth its own set because I think the main reason you use Tapu Koko is just an offensive pivot or a taunter or just breaking through your opponent's ground types. I don't think you use it as a sweeper. But it is an option. Brave Bird is also an option to be able to deal with damage to Pokemon such as Amoonguss and Venusaur, which otherwise resist your dual stab. Hidden Power Fire can be used to deal with Ferrothorn, which would otherwise again resist your dual stab. Nature's Madness with Tapu MZ could be pretty cool, getting off 75% on your opponent. But again, you're like missing out on items that can boost your electric type, which is the main reason. But if you do run Nature's Madness, definitely run Taunt with it. Taunt with Nature's Madness is definitely an option. And again, you can run like a fully physical set, maybe Brave Bird, Wild Charge, U-Turn, maybe Grass Knot for the ground types, or Hidden Power Ice. They're all options that this Pokemon does have, but typically I think these are the best options that you could use. Electric, Hidden Power Ice, Volt Switch or U-Turn, maybe Grass Knot, maybe Taunt. I think those are its best options. Especially against bulkier Pokemon, maybe like Spadef, and you think they can just roost up on you or soft build up on you. You go for Thunderbolt, you taunt them, they can't do that. And you Volt Switch, now they're under 50%. So you're doing damage. A few teammates. Raichu really appreciates Electric Surge. Obviously, its Surge Surfer doubles its speed in that, so they work really well, especially on Rain. Speaking of Rain, Kingdra and Pelipper. Kingdra appreciates the Volt Switch and U-Turn momentum that Tapu Koko can provide. Also appreciates the fact that it can get rid of the ground types, which is what Pelipper appreciates. Granted, Pelipper and Kingdra can both get rid of ground types, but they appreciate the U-Turn, momentum, the Rain. Obviously, Pelipper can get up the Rain with Drizzle ability. Pheromosa appreciates the fact that Tapu Koko can weaken or get rid of Tapu Fini for Pheromosa, as well as providing some sort of Volt Switch, Volt Turn combo going on with obviously U-Turn on Pheromosa, Volt Switch, or U-Turn on Tapu Koko. Likewise, Greninja also appreciates the support, whereas Greninja, whether it be Ash Greninja or regular Greninja, can run Hidden Power Fire Protean to get rid of Ferrothorn to weaken Pokemon like that, also plowing through all the ground types that Tapu Koko can just spam its electric type attack. And then Metagross appreciates Tapu Koko getting rid of or even weakening Pokemon like Scizor, Skarmory, Celesteela, and then Metagross can deal with the likewise Pokemon like Tapu Bulu, which take on Tapu Koko very, very well. Metagross can deal with that and just plow through opponents' teams. So Tapu Koko, really, really fun. I think the best way to use it is just to pivot. Taunt is really one of its solid move sets. But in any case, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Feel free, of course, to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing. Hope you learned something. And I'll see you guys next time with the Tapu Koko showcase. So, goodbye, friends.